Rob Smith here, and I'm back at MFA with a former Cage Warriors champion, George Hardwick. George, how are we doing, mate?
I'm doing good. It's Friday. Unusual, because I've got all my sparring done for the week. So it's just drills and bag work and pretending to be some kickboxers from the 90s. There's normally I'm very nervous at this point because it's a hard, big glove sparring, but I've done my sparring for the week. Just get to go kapow on drills and bags and make all sorts of noises.
So you're back in action again. I'm going to butcher his name. Is it Jan Quaeyhaegens? I think that's it.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I'm never sure whether you pronounce the J or whether you don't. It's different in every language. But Jan Quaeyhaegens, Q-bomb, we call him. Yeah. So 3 weeks tomorrow. So that's Saturday the 13th of September. It's going to be hella good.
Talk to me about this matchup with Jan, because when I was looking through his record, 100% finish rate, he's a very exciting fighter like yourself. So does this matchup in a way scare you in a good way? Because I know certain fighters, you look at them and you think, you can't really get yourself excited to fight them, whereas I think with Jan, does he excite you?
Fuck yeah, of course he does. And he's someone I've always had my eyes on. He's always been on the radar. I was Cage Warriors lightweight champion for a long time. And he was always in that kind of echelon. I remember when I defended my belt for the first time against Chris Bungard on Unplugged, he won by a knockout with a knee in like 20 seconds earlier on in the card. So, I was dialed into my own fight, my own title defense, but you've got to keep that kind of peripheral vision on a little bit. So he was always there in the peripheral vision. He's had a few injuries over the years, so we haven't crossed paths yet, but we're going to cross paths in Newcastle at the Virtue. It's going to be a hell of a show.
I know, it was a matchup that it's one that all fans are excited for it. I think it's a fan-friendly matchup. I think there's one thing I don't always love about Cage Warriors. I don't always love some of the certain matchups. I think some of the guys maybe don't fight some of the best, whereas this matchup, it's two of the best guys in the division actually going at it, and it's what excites me the most. I think it's the Newcastle card's stacked, but this fight, I think, is Sean Clancy Jr. still main event? Or is it yourself?
I think it's me. I don't know.
I remember when the thing first got announced, it was Sean Clancy, but then I don't know if he's fighting. I don't think his fight's ever been announced, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's you. I think it has to be main event because, is this your first time fighting in the Virtue Motors?
Yes, it is.
And so how excited are you to be back in Newcastle to fight?
So last time I fought in Newcastle, pretty much the only time I fought in Newcastle, it was an amateur fight in Cage Warriors when they had this big card, which, had like Stevie Ray versus Kurt Warbett and Alex Enlund won the belt on that card. And they used to do amateur undercards before, Cage Warriors Academy and all this. But yeah, I've been pretty jealous of Harry, because Harry's had his title win in Newcastle. He entered the Devil Trigger, which was just absolutely mental. Then he entered the Gold when he defended the belt. And then everyone's singing along. The energy is absolutely mental in there. It's such a packed-in venue. And everyone was there singing along with Gold. Harry's fighting in his mad, agitating style where he throws 10 million punches, and I've just been jealous of him. So for me, this is as big, if not, it's bigger than a title fight. It's kind of like, I fought in London O2 Indigo multiple times, multiple fights for the title in there, multiple wins. So it's kind of like, not going through the motion in the last fight, but all right, I know this. Whereas it's going to be different having that hometown support fighting in Newcastle.
Do you think that adds a little bit of extra pressure kind of fighting in front of the hometown crowd, or does it kind of spur you on even more?
See, the whole objective is just to be open. Bring it back to how it was when I was younger. As you climb up the rankings, as you win belts, as you defend them, people tell you what stage of your career you should be in. People tell you should be at the UFC, you should be here, how many fights until this? And people are making plans for you, people are telling you what your style is, and you can kind of let that almost like infect your brain. Make people, you can kind of think, what's my career trajectory after this? And yeah, I should be there or I should be here. I've just brought it back to when I was a kid, really. Just play video games and have this complete open mind of what is the goal? The goal is mastery. And this is an evaluation of my training to gain that mastery. And when the moment I had that thought and it just clicked, everything's just fresh, brand new again. There's no going through the motions. There's no, okay, this is what I have to do in fight camp now at this point. There's no, okay, I'll have this fight and then the next one. It's just this kind of, without sounding too B-Tech Bruce Lee here, kind of, desire for mastery and to be formless, almost.
And so what have your past fight camps been like? Has it almost been like, have you not really enjoyed the process as much, or has it been, you said you've not really been going through the motions, and how has it been different for this camp?
See, it's almost more like you can get ideas of what your own style is. Mm-hmm. This is my style, because you get told it and it gets results. Whereas with the loss of the belt, it's a chance to free up again. It's a chance to revise everything, and you always get that chance, but you don't. When things are going well, you don't realise it.
And I watched a video in the car park when I was waiting to come in, and he was saying how the loss of Samuel Silva, we'll talk about that fight briefly. He said it was a blessing, kind of similar to how the Cage Warriors the Contender Series fight went. And so, talking about that whole, we'll touch on the fight a little bit, talking about that whole night and kind of what the experience was like for yourself.
See, yeah, that fight was crazy. And originally I was supposed to be fighting in Manchester the week before, and then some pullouts, some change-arounds. I ended up being like top of the prelims, the featured prelim, and Harry was defending his belt later in the night. So it was the first time we'd both fought on the same card in a long time. And I'm glad I fought first. I'm glad I made it the most stressful possible fight for Harry to watch. Felt incredibly explosive in the fight and triggered onto the counters. And I thought, oh yeah, this is fitting the process. I was getting flashbacks of the Driscoll fight. I landed this body shot in the second round, and then he shoots in after it. I think, okay, he's taking a desperation shot there, but he just had this ability to hang tough and be rugged. He was immensely conditioned, and that was eye-opening to have that guy, to fight a guy who's not just going to succumb to the body shots, not just going to succumb to the calf kicks, who is going to be there round after round. I saw on his Instagram after him and his coach did like, they were saying they did 20 rounds of sparring, and the last one was with Wanderlei Silva. Just like, so how is it not a blessing as a martial artist to get that kind of a contest in?
And I've looked at Silva now. He's got a Contender Series shot on. So how do you think he'll do in that fight?
See, I've only seen like one fight of his opponent, Mandel Nello, and Nello stopped the guy with calf kicks. So there's going to be some swollen shins in that fight. Like, they both have similar weapons. I think Silva, I'd probably vouch for him being the more conditioned and being able to take the calf kicks if they're both landing, because I was landing some good calf kicks on him, and it was like my foot swelling up. It was crazy.
And so what was like the first couple of days, first few weeks after losing the title? Because you mentioned earlier, you held the belt for so long. So what was it like to not have that title anymore? Were you more disappointed in losing the fight than losing the title, or was it kind of a bit of both?
See, it was more losing the fight. It's more like the decisions I made in the fight and more processes I should have changed in the fight. It's more process-based than it was the outcome of the belt. In terms of the first day after losing the title, I was immediately in Portugal. It originally had a holiday booked that was going to be like a week after the fight, so I could have a little bit of clearance, all right, see if there's any swelling, have a little bit of recovery, then go on holiday. But because it was the day after, I went face swollen up, forearm swollen up, calf swollen up, and in flip-flops waddling like a penguin. But, I was still getting 20,000 steps a day in Albufeira, looking for all the best pastel de nata spots. But in terms of, I have a positivity bias. I'm not going to wallow. I'm not going to be negative. And immediately after it, I was thinking, when can I fight again? When can I fight again? It was a hard fight with a lot to recover from. But I was like, when can I fight again? I was thinking July 12th. I could get back in that time frame. And then when I found out that it was Newcastle in September, I was like, I'm definitely waiting. Take the extra little bit of recovery and fight in Newcastle. And there's a few guys in Cage Warriors history where they've lost the belt, and that's actually freed them up to fight more, fight different catchweights, fight different levels of opponent. Paddy Pimblett lost his belt, then he smashed a few people, was in the UFC. Morgan Charrier lost his belt, smashed a few people in the UFC. John Vucenic lost his belt, smashed a few people, was in the UFC, because it's not the physical load, the physical damage doing a 5-round fight camp. They could fight more and more and more, and it's almost like that activity and the finishes stood out more to the UFC than necessarily having the belt and having 1 or 2 fights a year.
And so what do you think our path is to the UFC? Because I know I actually watched TikTok of you and Harry talking about in the car how it seems like people are getting more signed just straight out now, and I think that's how it should be, in my opinion. I think I love the Contender Series. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a great show, but I think it's more exciting when you get like these big signs like Shem, like Luke, like Lossie and Cater. These are major signs, and it gets the fans excited. And so, what do you think your path is? Do you think it's now just activity and getting some big finishes to get the UFC back on your radar?
Yeah, that's all it is. Activity, finish. You know, what else? There's no other layer of the process that I can think about other than waking up in the morning, having my overnight oats with sliced up apple and blueberry and walnuts, slamming that down with a strong cup of tea or coffee, going to the gym, going home sleeping, going to the gym again, smashing someone at the end of fight camp, and then putting that together, having a Palmo on a Saturday. What more can I do? That's all out of my control in terms of how the business is running, how people are getting signed. That's all out of my control. Again, I'm just focused on eat my oats, come to the gym, and continue the journey to mastery.
And so does it motivate you even more when you're seeing the guys like Luke Ryan, like Shem and Louis Sutherland? Is it motivate you even more seeing these guys just getting signed straight out? Is that like a motivate you to think, okay, all I need to do is just smash some people, stay active, and then I will get my shot?
Absolutely, 100%. You know, some people were getting signed, and I was getting messages. How were you not signed when you defended the belt? You defended the belt 2 times, 3 times. How come you weren't signed? He's just been signed. Like, I'm going to be gutted for it. Like, I'm going to be bitter. I'm like, no, I'm buzzing. Obviously, they're going to have some quality fights in the UFC, and it just shows that there's a bit more of an opening up. But really, you know, again, that's all external. I'm just focused on putting together the best performances I can, especially now with like only 3 fives to work with.
And so talking about having fighting in just 3 5-minute rounds, because obviously you had so many title fights, 5-minute rounds. And so what do you think the fans can expect from having you fighting in 3 rounds instead?
More explosive. It's like, you know, like when Jose Aldo got used to that 5-round rhythm, people say, he's coasting, he's got a slow rhythm. And then when he fights 3 rounds again, and you watch the pace he's putting on Munoz, you can just expect that kind of condensation of the action. Maybe condensation's the wrong word. Condensing of the action.
And I want to talk about the lightweight division, because I feel like in lightweight, in pretty much every single organisation in the world, it's the primary weight class. It's the most stacked, and the division's kind of opened up now. So obviously Samuel Silva's got his shot. I'm assuming he's going to vacate the title. We'll have a new champion. I don't know his name. Sorry about this, by the way. It's the Norwegian fella. Is it Norwegian? Oh, sorry. No, it's Finnish. Is it Finland?
The new champion, Omar.
Yeah.
Omar Tuguev.
Yeah.
Isn't he Palestinian? Harry, where's he from?
I believe he is Finnish of mixed descent and lives in Ireland.
Finnish of mixed descent and lives in Ireland.
Bit of everything.
But
just all. Have you ever noticed that it says all of the above?
Yeah. But yeah, he's an impressive fighter. It was that night in Manchester the division was getting flipped on its head. You know, Adam Cullen got finished. Really good for him.
Yeah.
Really like Adam Cullen. And James Power, again, trained with James Power, was gutted for him. But it's this mad flip of the division. Just absolute crazy fights in that night.
And obviously, I know those guys are your friends, but do you believe with them two losing their fights and a big win against Jan, do you think that can put you back in the title picture?
100%. 100%. Like, you know, we're both kind of at the higher echelon of the division. I've lost a decision, but I was still the most successful or joint most successful lightweight champion ever in Cage Warriors, you know, tied with Chris Fishgold. So I'm still up there. And Jan Quaeyhaegens always been around, always been putting finishes together.
And I'm always curious, because I think every fighter has a different answer to this question, but what are some of the biggest sacrifices that you make during the fight camp? Because I know you and Harry, you're both big foodies, you both love your food, and so is that probably one of the biggest sacrifices you have to make, is not enjoying your Palmo on a Saturday?
I can enjoy a Palmo on a Saturday. Weight's way ahead of schedule. It's been so easy, the weight, this one. I could pretty much have any meal I want at the minute, you know, weight's ahead of schedule. I don't know, it's like, none of it feels like a sacrifice if I have to stop this to train or I have to stop this to make weight for a fight. Yeah, I realised that more and more when I had the jaw injury and I had to take more time out, that anything's a negligible sacrifice.
And I'm curious, as a foodie, what is your death row meal, so starter, main, dessert?
Well, obviously the main is a Palmo.
Of course. What type though, that's the question.
You might have to get half and half, or if they could do like a quattro stagione of my favourite Parmo toppings. Because there's spicy bolognese, there's tandoori chicken, garlic mushroom, and I like the barbecue meatball one. But then you'd have to have at least one corner plain. So like a quattro stagione of like different Parmo toppings as the main starter. Ooh. Possibly some kind of calamari.
I was going to say calamari's my go-to.
Yeah, that's a go-to starter. Probably some kind of seafood. Maybe just like an incredibly good bruschetta, or maybe like a small pesto-y pasta genovese, something like that. Dessert. Pancakes, only if I could make them myself.
Well, my final question is, what was your official prediction for the fight against Jan?
When we had the face-off, I predicted the second round finish. It's going to be first round finish.
First round, nice. I'll have admit. September 13th, Cage Warriors Newcastle. George versus Jan. Get your tickets. I think they're pretty much getting close to sold out, so be quick. It's going to be unbelievable, George. Thank you, mate.